What are you laughing at, Courtney Carr?
I don't know what that was, y'all. He just like came out like the Cookie Monster right when he hit live. Oh, you cracked
Okay,
me up.
focus,
Yes.
breathe.
Yes.
Welcome to the Force for Growth podcast. I'm Ricardo.
I'm Courtney. Thank you for tuning in. And today we're going to be discussing the common cliche that we hear is, oh, but it's so hard. And we're going to break this down for you, give us our honest thoughts, tips, tricks, and would love to hear what you think. So if you're tuning in, feel free to drop us a comment, say hello, say good morning, anything you want. But yeah, let's get started.
But it's so hard,
But
Courtney.
it's so hard.
But
How
it's
can I
so
do it?
hard. How is that possible, Courtney? But it's so hard. It's
Okay.
gonna take 1,000,000 years.
This one bothers. Okay, so I suggested this topic and it bothers me a lot lately because it hits home and because really I'm angry at my past self. Or I'm not angry, that's not the right word to say it. I am reflecting on my past self. And
Good
yeah,
thing.
basically there are a lot of things in life that I I would set myself up for failure before I even got started because I would tell myself and obsess over how hard it is. Whereas there's
Mm,
other situations where things are very easy for me, but they're hard for someone else. And folks have asked me, well, how is this so easy? How does that come so natural? And it's interesting because it all comes down to one thing: what I told myself about that, right? Is this going to be easy or hard? And so that's kind of where I brought this up from. But of course, knowing Ricardo, he has a lot of goods to add to this
we
and
do.
a lot of tips. Yeah.
Man, I think this is big. You just said it yourself. I don't think I can wrap it up any more clearer than that, Courtney.
Well, thanks.
Is you've already lost before you even started by saying, "Oh, but it's so hard.
Hmm.
But
Yeah.
it's so hard." Like you've already lost. You've already lost the game.
Yeah. And it's sad. We see a lot of dreams die right here. We
Right
see a
there.
lot of inspiration and dreams die, and they don't
Four
have
little
to.
words have
Mhm.
killed so many dreams.
Mm.
R.I.P. your dreams by four little words.
Yep. Yep.
Oh,
But what is hard? Okay, so what actually is hard though? What does that mean?
we
Will
don't
you
know.
tell
It
us
means
more about
whatever
that?
it means whatever it means whenever we're saying it.
Right?
It's so
So,
vague. That's the problem with hard. It's so vague,
mhm.
right?
Yeah.
Right?
It's very
You,
vague, but it's very extreme at the same time. So we're using this general term,
correct.
and it's a very extreme term to use once you look at the science of it.
Correct. Because I mean, what's the opposite of hard
Easy.
in this sense? Easy,
Yeah.
right? And if it's easy, sometimes it's too easy. We don't like too easy either.
Yeah.
Like, well, that's not even worth my time because it's too
Easy.
easy.
Too predictable. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Or it's too hard. Like, we don't
Mhm.
like either extremes. We got to be right there in the middle in order for it to catch our attention,
Yeah. That's
right?
true.
And not overcommit. Because I think this comes in when we feel like we overcommitted.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, why did I even start this? I didn't
Mhm.
realize it was going to be this hard. Why did
Right.
I even commit to helping this guy move off of 4 flights of stairs? Ah,
Yeah. I
this
didn't
is going to
realize
be
it.
so hard,
Mhm.
right?
Yes. And that's okay. So I want to highlight this, and I have a fun tip you asked me to bring up, but real
Oh,
quick,
yeah,
there's one
your story.
that so I actually love commercial insurance. Yeah. I love learning new parts of it and working on a new industry and just saving businesses large amounts of money on premiums for better coverage. I love the game of that. But I want to back up and tell you a little story about back when I was a newbie insurance agent. And so I've been in the business over 10 years. Commercial insurance and personal insurance are two very different things, and we don't have to go over those details at all. But basically, there are a lot of folks who just do personal and they literally will try to avoid at all costs doing any commercial. But the loop that is on, I mean, I dozens, majority of the insurance agents I know, I still hear them say this in the back of my hand. They hate insurance, or I'm sorry, I hate commercial insurance. It's so hard. I know I always hate these type policies because they're so difficult. I hate working on the certificates that you have to do with those. So it's just all these lines that break down to, okay, so wait, you're not doing this because you think it's hard. So when I switched to a new agency and really wanted to double down on the commercial, I just once again went into observation mode, and I'm like, wait a minute. Okay, so these folks, they don't know a lot about commercial because they haven't practiced it, because they keep away from it. Why? Because they tell themselves it's too hard. Whereas over here, you have folks who know everything about commercial, blah, 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 this different world. All they do is say, okay, it's easy. Yeah. Well, actually, when you break it down, all you do is this, this, and this, and then call the carrier to double check. And so basically, it's just breaking it into bite sized chunks. So I made a vow to myself that I would never tell myself commercial insurance is hard. And guess what? I still find it kind of easy. It's not stress free. I want to emphasize it's not, there are, daily stresses of things like that, but it's not hard. It's not hard to me. And so it took a while for that to become an identity type statement where when I said it, it truly believed it. There for a while I was like, you're lying to yourself. You think this stuff is hard. But I changed over time. And so that's a big one for me, that when he asked me an example,
Question,
this,
Courtney.
yes,
What's the difference between it's so hard and, well, it's kind of challenging?
one's empowering and one is disempowering. One fills you up
Right.
and one drains you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. One
Yeah.
activates warrior mode and one is self shaming.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's interesting. That's an interesting thought on that. I
Yeah.
like that. So for me,
What do you
like
think?
I have some very elaborate Lego sets. And in the box, they look pretty cool. And when they're built at the Lego store, they look great. And I'm like, ooh, that looks so cool. That would look so good over there on my shelf. This would look so good over here. But then when you get it home and you have 2,500 pieces laying across your table, oh,
That makes my head hurt.
it does. It's like, oh my gosh. And then like the book is, however big it is in 3 parts. And it's like, oh man, this is a tough one. And then the little bitty pieces that you have to like put in the right place, it gets very overwhelming, or it did at first. And it was like, oh man, it's just so hard.
Mhm.
But no, but it wasn't that it was hard. It was just overwhelming because it was just so much.
Mhm.
Right? It's just so much. But when you put it all together, it's not that bad. But just like you, just bringing it down in your head and realizing that just one piece at a time, literally, not
Mhm.
even metaphorically in this case, but literally,
Literally, as literal as
literally,
possible.
literally,
As smallest
literally.
of a bite as you can do, and your mission is just to get that bite, move it as far as you can over on the dial, and then
Yeah,
repeat, and that's
yeah.
it.
And I have another example, but I'm gonna let you share your second example
Okay.
real quick.
So, okay, I am a fan of the red lip now, and I have dozens of, just I've traded in all my pinks for my reds. And the reason that's significant to me is because I always wanted to feel confident wearing bright red lipstick. And I had a lot of insecurity issues growing up, too many to list. So, I mean, just reach out to me if you're struggling. Trust me, I understand. But basically, I was desperate in this one phase in my early 20s to get good at makeup, to be confident and be able to wear this red lip. And, it had other things to do with, like, I was actually causing myself acne by covering it up with so much foundation and this and that, because I was insecure about having clear skin. So, I mean, a lot of different issues that we women struggle with. But one of those is you're wearing a lot of makeup to compose yourself to the world in a certain way, or to feel confident and present yourself in a certain way, like a piece of art. However, it's just really hard when you can never quite find the way to meet your insecurity and to dissolve that, right? And so I stopped trying to wear red for years. For about 10 years, I've been just wearing like clear lip gloss, and all the guys are rolling the eyes like, why does this matter? And then about a year ago, I just started wearing red again and being intrigued by red, but okay, well, let me try this darker color and let me try this. And the key was I was actually confident in it now, and I feel good in it now. And the lesson I was talking to Ricardo about is, you know, a red lip to a woman represents something. It represents a certain type of confidence. It represents a certain resiliency and strength in herself. And I couldn't find a look that I liked back in the day because I wasn't that girl yet, because I wasn't that girl yet. But now it does match the person I believe I am and becoming more of every day and practicing more of and polishing, you name it, upgrading. Like I'll never stop 1% better every day. And it's just one day I woke up and I wanted to put on this bright red lipstick and I did and I felt good and I had zero insecurities. And it really took me back to that girl 15 years ago that, if I could just tell her, give her, that emotional feeling of peace of what she will learn if she can just grow through this and push through this and keep her strength, and one day you will wake up as that woman you want to be. And it's beautiful. So, yeah, before I get
Wow.
emotional, I'm going to stop.
Okay, so here's the thing.
All about
This is
lipstick.
this is no, but this is why I love that story is because I think there are so many people out there that say something like, "Okay, I'm having." Let's just take your lipstick example,
Okay.
and it's simple. It's not this big, complex, convoluted thing, right? I mean, it is if you make it in your head, but it's like, oh, that's so silly. I shouldn't feel this way about that.
Mhm.
And then that really doesn't help. That
No.
really doesn't help. That really doesn't help. And the reason that I really wanted you to share that particular story is just to emphasize that if it's hard in your head for you, in your mindset, it's hard. No one can take that away, regardless of what it is,
Right.
whether it's lipstick or Legos or insurance. It's hard to you. And no one really has the right to be like, ah, that's silly. That's ridiculous, Courtney. You shouldn't feel that way. Like, no. If that's how you feel, that's how you feel.
Mhm.
So give yourself, if you have something that you think is silly or that you might be making small in your head and thinking, you know, blah, blah, blah. But I need to blah, 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 but it's so hard. But then you follow it up by, I shouldn't feel that way. That's ridiculous that I feel this way over that. Take that part out.
Because what do we know?
It's okay.
It's that you're self-shaming yourself in that moment, and just a
Correct.
reminder from Force for Growth, you cannot self-shame yourself to success or happiness. It just doesn't work.
No. So just let go of that last part. Just own it. Be like, okay, you know what? Maybe it is a little silly that I'm feeling that this is so hard. But what can I do about it? Make it easier.
Yeah.
How can I make it easier? How
What an
can I step it
empowering
back from
question.
chais? Yes.
One of my favorite questions anytime I'm feeling overwhelmed, what can I do to make this easy for myself?
Yes. Yes. But don't shame yourself. Don't
Right.
belittle yourself. Don't beat yourself up and be like, that's so silly that I shouldn't feel that way. And definitely don't be beating other people up when they share their thoughts or their struggles with something like that.
Mhm.
Like, it would be so easy for someone to be, Courtney, that's so ridiculous about you and that red lipstick, Ricardo. Really? Legos? That's all you have, man? You know? But you know what? It is what it is. That's what
Yeah.
came up when we brought the topic up, and I'm not embarrassed about it,
Yeah.
and I own it, and I'm like, "Okay, that was a moment in time, and I'm not in that place now, and neither are you,
Mhm.
and if you're listening and struggling this, you won't be in that place either." So,
Right.
real quick, my last example is I'm a big old software and hardware geek. Like, I'm a geeky dude. I'm a nerdy dude, and I love trying to figure out stuff on my own before I pay someone to do it. I just do. Like editing the podcast, editing the videos, doing this type of work, audio and visual graphics work. I want to figure it out for myself before I pay someone.
Mhm.
Why? Because I don't believe in relying on people to do stuff for me when they're not available. I don't want to be held at anyone's mercy. I want to be able to do everything that I need to do the projects that I care about without depending on other people.
Mhm.
So I'll get a new piece of software or whatever, and it's got all these buttons and this manual and these web pages and all these things that I can't figure out. And it's like, "Oh, I really need to do this, but
It's so hard.
it's so hard. And
Yeah.
I just really need to step back. And it happens frequently, even still. And I have to just relax. I go and find a Facebook group or a community based around this software. I go join. I go start reading on it. I start watching videos on YouTube. And then once I start to see how it's done, guess what?
It's not as
It's not
hard.
so hard anymore.
Yeah.
It's kind of easy at that point.
Sounds like you just repeated a magical formula. Hmm.
Yeah. And but I have to really realize when it hits me, I'm like, well, yes, it's so hard now because it's new.
Hmm.
You can just add the now to the end.
Yeah.
Oh man, this new piece of software is so overwhelming. I really need to do it, but it's so hard now.
Now. Yeah.
That doesn't mean it's going to be hard in 20 minutes or 10 minutes. So even if you can't get rid of those four little words, tone them back and reel them in by saying now,
Hmm. Yeah. I
now.
love that. I love that. That's a great tip. One, I did want to read Jesse's comment. Jesse said, I love my red lipstick. It means a lot to me. So thank you for backing me up on that. Yes. Shout out to the
It's a
ladies who
thing.
wear the red lipstick. And if you're nervous to wear it, you put some on, you send me a selfie on private Facebook message because I want to see it. But okay. So I think I want to touch on a lot of people teach others their limitations in this area.
Wait, what?
A
Say that
lot of
again.
people will teach others their own limitations in this arena,
Oh
in
yeah.
this area. And what I mean by that is it does happen for easy, but 90% of the time it's going to be the hard side of the scale. What's hard for you might not be hard for someone else. But if you teach someone it's hard, they will apply their meaning they have for the word hard in their brain and will think it's hard, and just case in point, if somebody is teaching you something and they're like, oh, this will take 6 hours. There was a time I was like, whoa, 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 back up. Don't tell me a time frame. Don't give me, don't tell me how long it'll take. Don't. And I mean that because if I can learn how to do it quicker, I don't want to train myself that that'll take 6 hours to do that task.
Mm,
I'd rather learn organically how to do it. And hey, maybe one day I can do it in one. And actually I can do it now in less than one. But at one point it did take me 6 hours when I was learning, right? So it's just be careful of taking on others people's limitations. And one of the red flag ways that you can hear and know and learn what their limitations are going on autopilot inside their own mind is things that they call hard, things that they said, oh, I would never do, or just the rules for their life. And that's a whole nother talk.
yeah.
But basically, if somebody says this is hard or this is easy, that is a reflection of how they define the meaning for that in their own brain. So be very, very, very careful to absorb other people's limitations by believing something is hard. It is totally okay to throw your hands up and say, with all due respect, Ricardo, I'm curious to learn this on my own. And so just in case I can do it in a shorter time frame, maybe leave off the time frames or the amounts or things like that, whatever detail matters to your situation, and own it and do your best to learn. A lot of that childlike creativity that we have in that learning phase and that state we get in is lost when somebody is telling you how to do something. So if you can dive deep and, just like Ricardo was just talking about, discover it yourself. You might discover you don't want to deal with this and you want to pay somebody to do it. That's okay too. But just maybe you will really enjoy doing it and you'll learn something new, and that'll trigger your creativity side, and it just will open up a lot of good juices flowing through your body. But where that starts is by either believing it or accepting that something is hard. And so, of course, if it's your own self-talk, definitely watch that, but watch others' words around this, because what's hard for them doesn't have to be hard for you. And what's
Yeah.
easy for you might not be easy for them. So you need to also be respectful of that too.
And what's easy for them might not be easy for you. Let's
Hmm.
take a look at that one.
Yeah.
They might have 30 years in this and they can do something that would take a newbie 3 hours and they can do it in 30 minutes.
Hmm.
But that doesn't mean that you won't get to that 30-minute point. You just have to work at it and get better and actually just model them a little bit. This is a good NLP technique, is just
Yeah.
model them. What have
Hmm.
you learned over the last 20 years that got you from 3 hours to 30 minutes? Well, this is the workflow. Okay,
Hmm.
cool. I'm going to take that workflow, see what works, improve it, and maybe I can even get it down to 20 minutes.
So study like
Boom.
processes and rituals. I want to throw those in there, but yeah,
Correct. But you can't compare yourself to someone, and definitely don't beat yourself up on either side of that.
right.
Don't beat yourself up if it takes you 6 hours and it takes someone 20 minutes, or if it takes them 6 hours and it takes you 20 minutes. Either way,
Right.
don't beat yourself up and don't beat them up, and don't allow them to beat themselves up, or whatever it is that I'm
Mhm.
trying to say.
And if you're beating others up, you're really just judging yourself. You just
Ooh,
are calling it something different in your brain. So be careful of that.
man, so much there. But it all
Mhm.
starts with that it's so hard. It's so
Yeah.
hard.
Oh, Jesse repeated. Yeah, she said, leave their limitation to them. Yeah.
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 It's a choice to pick it up.
Oh, I'll
You
add on
literally
to
make
that.
a choice to reach down and say, okay, Ricardo, you think this is so hard? I agree. That is all a choice. What happened in that exchange was a choice you made. So
Leave
you
their
can look at that one.
limitation and their expectation to
Yes.
them.
Yes. Oh,
Because Courtney, you should be able to do this in 30 minutes. Why is it taking you 4 hours?
right.
Wait, what? Wow, this is my first time doing it, man.
Yeah.
Hey, get up off my back. You've been
Right.
doing this for 5 years. This is my first time.
We all have different meanings and different, I mean, literally, like what is hard and what is easy to me is made up
Is
of my life experiences and my past. I can guarantee you every one of us have a slightly different meaning for that because why? We have lived a different past and stored data
yes.
for what these words and these, verbiage means when we use it and the feelings that we get in our body when we say it. So, immediately, even if nothing comes to mind, when you are talking about something being so hard, your body and your cells are remembering how hard everything was in your life that you have said is hard, that you've used this word for. It's a word. They call it spelling because you actually are casting a spell. You're casting out energy when you use words. So this is very relevant right here. But likewise, easy. Easy is
Easy.
made up of the meaning you give to it and apply to it based off your life experiences. So it's just literally figuring out, okay, how can I reverse engineer this, make this look easy, figure it out, whatever. And it takes effort at first, but then it'll become a lot, guess what? Easier
Easier.
as time goes on. So
So good.
yes.
A great conversation, Courtney. Another great episode in the
Yeah.
books for the Force for Growth podcast. Hmm.
Yes. This was a good
Remember,
one.
yeah, for sure. Remember to follow us on Facebook and Instagram at
Force for growth, and always remember to be a force for good
A Force for Growth.
and a force for greatness. Bye.
Bye. I'm gonna give the laugh again.
You're
Be
creepy.
right before I hit end. Ready? Let's just laugh together.